first TREW show.
Hello everybody, welcome to our first inaugural episode of the TREW show. This is going to be a show about real estate. My name is Nick Gelfand. I'm one of the hosts. I'm owner of NRG Real Estate, licensed real estate broker in Massachusetts and Connecticut, as well as a licensed appraiser in Massachusetts. And here's my co-host, Leslie.
Hi, I'm Leslie Lambert. I'm a real estate professional in Western Massachusetts for the past 23 years. I'm also a blogger, and I blog for myself and agentgenius.com, and a national speaker and trainer on real estate technology and social media for realtors. And I'm very excited to be co-hosting with Nick.
Absolutely.
We have a lot to cover. We're going to be doing this show every week, and each week we're going to have different segments that we're going to rotate around. And we'd love to hear from you and know what you'd like for us to talk about and share with you too. So today's segment is going to start with our spotlight property. Every time we do the spotlight, we're going to try to find some crazy, unique, interesting property from anywhere around the country. So if you know of one and you want to shout out, feel free to get in touch with us. And you can always find us by...
On Twitter, we are TREW Show, T-R-E-W Show, or you can email us at trew@thebiznewschannel.com.
So this week's property is called, I believe, the Mushroom House.
It is the Mushroom House. It is located in Pittsford, New York, which is an area right outside of Rochester. It is currently on the market for $1.1 million, courtesy of RE/MAX Advance.
I'll buy two.
Yeah, excellent. It is.
2 mushrooms.
And it seems like you will be. It looks like it's a bunch of pods.
Yeah.
They look like they're made of the same material that you make casts out of. I'm not really sure.
It's like a spray dome kind of a thing, and we'll have a picture up for you to see if it's not already. But basically, what I understand the architect did was that these people are very artsy and avant-garde, and they hired this architect that was very creative. And he put down a vase with Queen Anne's lace flower in it and said, basically, this is the design for your house. So I don't know, it looks more like a moon mushroom to me than a Queen Anne's lace, but I guess I can see the windows and whatnot being...
What I'm worried about if I'm in a house like this is how am I going to arrange the furniture? Everything is so rounded. Yeah. And furniture is square. Did they have to get furniture designed as well to fit the house?
I think there's some interior shots too, and I'm sure we'll have a link to the site that was promoting it. But my concern would be, I guess there must be an elevator, because there's no way I'm carrying groceries up the stalk.
I mean, maybe a rope ladder.
Bucket your groceries up. I don't know. So it's definitely unique. I can't imagine that it's for everyone, but it seems like it's in a private woodland setting. So maybe if you're an artistic person that wants to get away from it all and enjoy views from every possible viewpoint, you know, I guess you don't have to worry about the neighbors peeking in while you're in the shower or anything.
Absolutely.
You're in the middle of nowhere.
And from a standpoint of an appraiser, I'm just worried about if a person that wants to buy wants to get financing.
Yeah.
How do you appraise a house like that?
Yeah.
You know, appraisals are really based quite a bit on having comparable houses that are in the area. So when you have a unique house, you know, what is its value? You know,
Which is something people should consider before they go under building one. You know,
absolutely.
Resale-wise, you might be able to build it and get financing to build it, but then if it comes time a few years later you need to sell or you want to sell, you might find a buyer that's willing to pay you exactly what you want, and they won't be able to get financing. So it does add an element.
Absolutely. You know,
of concern for people. They should know what they're doing when they do
absolutely.
a mushroom house.
If you're looking to get financing from a bank, you want to know what the rules are of the game.
Although I imagine if you're in the market for an artistic million-plus home, you probably have other avenues of financing.
Absolutely. I would assume they would have paid cash or something like that. And,
yeah, me too.
And is the home biodegradable? Will it just kind of over time just disappear? it looks like it is a special home.
Well, so the link will be in there. If you're in the market for a mushroom house, this might be just the one for you.
And maybe you're right outside of Rochester.
Hey, take a look. Let us know what you think. So the next segment that we want to do today is called Setting the Stage. And when we do Setting the Stage segments, we're going to talk to homeowners who might be considering selling your home in the near future and give you some ideas and tips and thoughts for how you can get that done faster for more money. And staging is huge. It's something that every seller really needs to address long before they consider going on the market.
Absolutely, especially the way the market has been, probably in your area. I know in our area, there's definitely a decent supply of property, so buyers do have choice. So the ones that are selling are the ones that are most presentable, I guess most palatable to the buyer. And the only way to do that, the only way to separate yourself from the rest of the herd is to stage. Bring in somebody who knows what they're doing. Maybe you could do it yourself, but for the most part, that's literally the difference maker.
Yeah, I think there's some houses that you absolutely must have a professional stager come in, and it's worth whatever the money. It's usually pretty short money too for what you get in the end. It's
Absolutely.
Not usually a huge expense. Because typically they can work with what you already have. A lot of them just come in and work with what you've got. You don't have to go out and buy new things. And the second thing is often your realtor is pretty good at this because we're in and out of houses all the time. We know what the buyers like. We know what's working.
We know what's selling.
Yeah, and so, listen to your realtor. If your realtor is telling you that something should be done, then you have got to take that into account. Specifically, the thing that I really stress when I'm on my first appointment with people is decluttering and depersonalizing the space. So, Nick, do you want to tell them what depersonalizing means?
Well, what I always tell my sellers as far as depersonalizing is, a lot of that has to do with photos. People like to overstuff their walls with family photos, their mantles, the little tables in your living room, and having those photos are all well and good because you are enjoying them. It's your family or precious moments in your life. But in reality, buyers don't like that. They don't. They don't walk in and enjoy it the same way you do because it is your family, it's not theirs.
And it's a distraction.
Absolutely.
I mean, as an agent, when I'm working with buyers, I'm trying to get them to look at the space, I'm trying to get them to look at the structure of the home.
The finishes.
The finishes and the opportunity for them to turn it into something that their family will enjoy. And even I've had this happen more than once, and I find it so strange because the world is truly a small place, but I'll be showing a home and the buyer will go over to one of those family photos and say, hey, I know that guy. Is he the seller of this house? And then twice it's been that the house was a short sale, and then the guy sees the picture and he now knows that it's his high school buddy that's in a position, and it's awkward. And they don't want to buy that house now because it's awkward, even if they loved it. So you don't want people distracted by your personal photos.
Yep.
I'm guilty of it. When I sold my own home, I had to take my own advice. I have pictures of my kids everywhere. But if you're moving, then the house is no longer just your home. It's now like a commodity. It's your biggest investment, and you want to optimize that. And it's simple. One of the first and most easy ways you can do it is depersonalizing. The other thing about depersonalizing, and Nick is so right, the pictures is huge. But we all have really unique tastes, I might like country, urban, real decayed looking stuff that you like pick up at a flea market or maybe on the side of the road. I like that stuff. You might think it's junk. Why is this junk in the house? And so, like you said, appealing to every palate. And, whether you like it or not, I think the code to work off of is sort of a Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel look. That seems to be, that seems to be the tone that people find neutral and current.
And minimal, don't overstuff the space, especially if you're in a smaller space. I would definitely suggest minimizing the amount of stuff. Let the space sell itself. And don't think that decluttering and depersonalizing means just for the inside of your home. You all drive by those houses that have the little,
flamingos.
Flamingos, the chicken, the wooden chickens. Yeah. I've seen houses that have a tremendous stuff on the front, on their front lawn for all to see. Those things are a turnoff. Those things are what people
before they even walk in the front door. They're not going to walk in the front door. So, I mean, to wrap up this little lecture, clean it up. I tell people walk through with fresh eyes, or make a friend do it that's objective, because you get used to looking at your own crap. And so walk through with fresh eyes, make notes of anything that jumps out at you because the color is different, because it's personal, because it's in the way. You know, you might need to edit an end table, but do it. It will make a huge difference in your marketing.
Absolutely, and don't hesitate to set a little bit of money aside in the budget to do this. You know, you must draw a line in the sand from what your house looks like for you, for when you're living in it, and then what it's going to look like when you are trying to sell it, because it's literally a commodity, like Leslie said.
Absolutely.
There's a great website I recently found on decorating. It has a lot of free decorating advice. It's houzz.com. It literally has hundreds and hundreds of pictures of living rooms, kitchens. You know, some probably I would not recommend, unless we would not recommend to do, but also just great ideas for you to see what other houses look like. Because that's, I think, a big thing is a lot of people, you know, they've seen their house, they've seen their family and friends' houses, but they haven't seen the hundreds and hundreds of houses that a typical real estate agent has seen, so they don't really have a great understanding.
Maybe print off some of those ideas and consult your realtor. Does this look like what we should be doing here, so that you're checking first? So I think that's great. And of course, you can always reach out to Nick and I with any of these kind of questions, or any of your thoughts on staging, or any of our other topics. Again, we're on Twitter. That's my personal favorite way to be reached, and that's @TREW Show. And you can also email us, and that's true@thebusynewschannel.com. So make sure you reach out. So our next segment, current events. And Nick, what are we going to talk about this week?
Well, I think the big thing is mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are on an all-time low. Certainly, if you have not refinanced yet, great idea. Absolutely consult your local mortgage professional. Also, certainly, if you're buying a home, great time to buy a home.
Well, I mean, if you are a person that can qualify for a mortgage right now, and you're feeling comfortable that that's the, you know, you're considering it, I can't imagine why you wouldn't. Because I just looked up the statistics last night, and 5-year ARMs, which are not for everyone, and you want to talk about this with your mortgage professional, but a 5-year ARM is at let me make sure I get this right, a new all-time record low. It's fallen for the 8th consecutive week and is now at 2.96%. That's insane. And a 30-year fixed mortgage for the last 2 weeks has been at 4.22% with under 1 point. And we can talk about what a point is after. But basically, this is some really short money.
Absolutely.
My first mortgage was 14%, people. And I thought that was great.
And for those of you who don't know what a 5-year ARM is, it is an adjustable rate mortgage, so it's going to be set for 5 years, so you know exactly what your rate is for 5 years. After 5 years, it has a chance to either go up and down depending on what the mortgages are at that time. So the benefit would be for somebody who knows they're going to buy into something that's not a long-term property for them, maybe something they're going to stay in for 2 to 3 years, maybe they're just moving into town for, you know, residency at a hospital or whatever it might be, or they're just starting out, they're looking at something bigger down the line. Certainly plan accordingly. Don't try to sell your house on that 5-year mark. But it is a good way to get into a very low mortgage.
Really low mortgage. You just need to know going into it that the likelihood is that the rates will go up when they start adjusting. Absolutely. Because these are all-time record lows right now.
Absolutely.
So you need to plan for that and have a strategy in place. And it's the people that don't plan ahead that get bit with an adjustable rate mortgage. It can be a great tool for the right person, but you need to educate yourself and make sure that you know what you're getting into. But fixed mortgage at 4.22 with less than a point. Now a point is 1% of the purchase price. So, you know, if it was a $100,000 house, you're talking $1,000. So you would have to pay, in this instance, $700 with where it is now. You'd pay $700 to buy the rate down a little bit.
Absolutely.
Which, if you're staying for a long time, makes sense. If you're not going to stay for more than 5 years, you probably don't need to consider using a point. But I'm not a mortgage professional, so talk to your mortgage professional about that. But think about this. Property values, record lows. Interest rates, record lows. No-brainer for investors, first-time buyers, certainly, and if you're in a move-up position, yes, your current home might have depreciated in value, but the next one you're buying did as well, and especially if you're buying up, you might actually, in the long term, be making a really smart move to take a small loss on the current house, buy the bigger one at a greater loss because those higher properties have taken the biggest hit, right, and get in there with a low interest rate. So these are all food for thought for you if you're looking into, considering making a move right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and that brings us to our property phases segment. So each time we do this segment, we're going to talk about buyers and sellers in different phases of their life. And Nick and I thought with the interest rate conversation that a really obvious segue is first-time home buyers.
First-time home buyers, absolutely, and that's actually one of my strengths. And I tend to work, maybe because it's my age, but I tend to work a lot with first-time home buyers. If you're renting right now and you're looking at, you're actually paying your landlord's mortgage. So I would strongly take a look at taking advantage of the low interest rates. There's many programs out there. First-time home buyers, actually, I should point out, is defined as if having owned a home in 3 years.
Yes.
So it doesn't necessarily mean you've never bought a home. Of course, it certainly means that as well. But it also does apply to those folks.
I call them born again.
Yes, born again first-time home buyers. But absolutely.
Yeah, first-time home buyers. It now is a great time. Nick's talking about rent, and you can buy a lot of property for a lower mortgage than you're paying in rent right now.
Absolutely.
So you'll reduce your monthly costs, and there's the tax benefits of being a homeowner as well that'll, especially in the early years of home ownership, have the biggest impact. So you really should sit down and consider this for real, because it's not likely to be more attractive in...
It's the American dream. It feels good to own your home.
It does.
No matter what way you look at it.
Well, and if you've been renting, look, now you can go in and paint the whole thing purple if you want to, and there's nobody can do anything about it
until you sell it.
Until we show up and say, get rid of the purple.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there is something very, I've been a homeowner since 1995, I guess it was, and there is a pride and an excitement in knowing that it's yours, and the banks, but...
Yeah, we won't mention that.
But really, especially if you're looking at a small single family, a condominium, or maybe even if you're open to like a two-family situation, you could get into a property for much less than you might be paying in rent and have more space, private yard, whatever, and all of the benefits and emotions of being a homeowner for less money than being a tenant.
One thing that a lot of the first-time home buyers I first sit down and bring up is, is there still a credit from the government? What happened to that credit?
Yeah.
And although that $8,000 credit was great while it lasted, it's not there anymore.
No.
There are a couple of programs out there that I recently noticed. One is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac giving out $1,500 to condominium buyers. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fine print there. It's not something they're just giving out. Something like it has to be on the market for 120 days. But we will post a link for you guys to that particular program. Another one I noticed recently was if you're a military person, they're giving you $5,000 through the Pentagon Foundation. Yeah. We'll put the link in as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. Individual banks have programs that they run sporadically, and sometimes towns do too. A lot of the local municipalities will sponsor every now and again. They'll use grant money to sponsor a first-time homebuyer program exclusive to their town. So it pays to consult a realtor in your area that you're shopping in and ask them and your lenders if they know about any programs that are going on. There's a lot of options and a lot of ways to get into home ownership. Even if you don't have a huge savings, there's ways to deal with that as well. So if you are interested in purchasing a home, I really say consult your professionals and find out what you'd need to do to make that happen, because it's not likely to be a more attractive market for buyers than we've got going on right now.
Right.
This is buyer market time.
Absolutely, and some people tend to say that, well, maybe the property price will drop again. And sure, it is possible.
It's possible, but
You know, but they are lower than they were a year ago,
Yes.
lower than they were 2 years ago, certainly lower than they were 3 years ago. So at some point they will start going up.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be, you know, behind the 8 ball.
No. And if you are a first-time home buyer, the way that I work it, and I'm sure any, you know, reasonably professional realtor works with their first-time home buyers, is we sit down and do a full consultation before we even cross a threshold for a house for sale. And I think this is important, and if your realtor doesn't offer this, then maybe you should ask them, you know, can we sit down and chat for an hour or so before we look? And we discuss the whole process from start to finish, because for a realtor, we do this every day. If you're somebody that's owned several properties, you're familiar with the process. But when you're a first-time buyer, it's all brand new. It's like speaking a new language, and it can be very confusing. And if you're confused, you might be frustrated and scared. And of course, that's not the way that anybody wants you to feel. So I think the consultation process can really
Absolutely
go a long way.
And those of you who are worried about potentially, you know, having to pay for that buyer's agent, the way the real estate business is set up is that the seller of the property agrees upon a certain commission structure with the selling agent, who in turn turns around and through the multiple listing service offers a specific commission split to the buyer agent that ultimately sells their home. So as a buyer, there's no reason not to use a buyer's agent. First of all, you will be working with a professional who represents you in your own interest, and then that particular cost of their services is included in the sale of the home and is paid for by the seller.
Yeah. There's very few ways that it goes differently. One would be maybe if you were using a buyer's agent to purchase a for sale by owner, sometimes the commission has to be dealt with differently.
Absolutely.
There are instances where it pops
Sure.
up that a discussion needs to
Majority of the
happen,
time,
but
though.
majority of the time. So first-time home buyers, let us know if you have any specific questions. Nick and I are here to help. But you know, if you're making a move, it's time right now. So I think that's our show for today, Nick. We made it.
We made it, our first one in the books.
And I just want to remind everybody how they can get in touch with us if they have any questions or thoughts or things
Absolutely.
they'd like to see.
It's at TREWshow.com. It's at TREW Show on Twitter, TREW, which stands for the Real Estate Wrap Up, or TREW at thebusynewschannel.com.
I'm Leslie Lambert.
I am Nick Gelfand.
And this was The TREW Show. Thank you.
Have a good one.